Hi, my name is Melanie Belil, and I'm a realtor in Calgary, Canada with Ben Sweet, Justin Becker and Associates. And CREB, or the Calgary Real Estate Board, just released their forecast for 2025. So we'll go over the data for 2024, and then we'll see what conclusions they've drawn for the year ahead. And I'll give my 2 cents about whether I agree or disagree, or what my experience has been in the first few weeks of 2025. CREB's report starts with the annual average months of supply. So this is a metric that tells us, if we look at the current inventory, how long would it last to sell everything that's currently available. So if we go back a couple years ago to 2022, it had 1.68 months of supply. And then just because there was just a huge influx of people coming to Calgary and people looking to purchase homes, the supply just couldn't keep up with the demand. So because of this, the annual average months of supply decreased to 1.35. And then as prices started to increase and interest rates started to drop, it became a lot more appealing for people to sell their homes. So we're noticing that there's more and more listings hitting the market in 2024. So it is still very much a strong seller's market, but just not as strong as the market as we saw in 2023. And going into 2025, it will still be a strong seller's market, but I just foresee there's going to be more months of supply, just because as prices continue to increase, a lot of homeowners are going to be looking to sell their home and reap the reward of their return on investment. So for 2024, it was 1.59 months of supply, and anything below 3 months of supply is very much a seller's market. And when we go above 3 months of supply, that means that the market is more so flooded with inventory. So there's a lot of homes available. So there's more homes available than there is demand. But still, for the time being, we're still seeing a very significant demand relative to the number of houses that are available. It's just not going to be as aggressive of a seller's market as we've seen the last 2 years. And CREB has stated that Calgary's housing market is expected to stay strong in 2025, with sales forecasted 20% above long-term trends. So we'll see later on, but the anticipated sales volume is going to be pretty much on par with what we saw in 2024. And 2024 was very much a strong seller's market. So it's nice to see that we can still expect to see that strong seller's market going into 2025. And right now there's a lot of uncertainty with regards to the tariffs. So what we're talking about is the potential 25% tariffs that Trump would slap on Canadian goods crossing the border into the United States. So depending whether or not the tariffs take effect, as of now, it sounds like they could take effect as soon as February 1st, but that still remains to be seen. So in the event that the tariffs aren't going to happen, we still have a very strong energy sector, and we don't really anticipate seeing any changes to that. So we should still see a significant amount of growth, good job prospects, and that should ensure that our real estate market stays robust, stays strong. Conversely, if the 25% tariffs do come into effect, then that would effectively cause a trade war on exports, and essentially our largest trading partner is the United States. So if there's less demand for Canadian goods, then it would stand to reason that there would be layoffs, so fewer jobs, and people who don't have jobs, of course, aren't in a position to purchase a home. So that would consequently cause there to be a decreased demand for homes. And as demand decreases, prices typically decreases as well. However, there's a bit of a caveat in the sense that if Trudeau or whoever's heading the Liberal government decides to counter with a 25% tariff on American goods crossing our border, then that would make construction materials coming from the States that much more expensive. So as materials become more expensive, that cost will be burdened by whoever's purchasing the home. So even though demand might be decreasing, that might also be met with increasing cost of homes, specifically when we talk about new home construction. So whether or not the 25% tariffs are a go is going to have a significant impact on the demand that we see in 2025 for housing in Alberta. Now, In the event that there is no trade war, no tariffs, we can expect to see a respectable 2% growth in employment, and it'll be mostly led by construction, retail, trade, healthcare, and education. So, specifically in healthcare and education, just because we have such a tremendous influx of people coming to Alberta, I mean, everybody who is coming to the province is going to require education and healthcare, at least to some degree. So that's why we're going to see a lot more teachers and a lot more healthcare professionals being hired. And also, when we think about construction, these new people are going to need homes to live in as well. So there will be a significant increase in construction jobs too. So if we look at the data from July last year, there was a 4.4% increase in Alberta population. This year it's forecast to be at 1.9%. So it's still growth. It's just not the growth that we've seen as of last year. And our province is primarily welcoming people from Ontario and BC. So upwards of 14,000 people are coming from Ontario, 8,000 from BC. And we're actually expecting almost 100,000 people in terms of international net migration. So people who are coming from outside of Canada. And if we take a look at Calgary more specifically, I mean, we're the major hub where people decide to come in Alberta. So we're still expecting to see a 3.1% growth, which is still significant. It's just not as significant as the 5.6% growth that we saw last year. But with the increased population, I mean, that'll result in increased demand for housing. So that'll put positive pressure on home prices still as we continue into 2025. Also in 2025, we're expected to see a lot of new home construction, a lot of housing starts. So as there's more inventory hitting the market in Alberta and in specifically Calgary, it's giving buyers more options and it's easing pressure off of the resale market. So as our population continues to increase, as new housing starts increase as well, it'll help dampen the pressure of all these potential home buyers looking to purchase houses in 2025. And if we're looking geographically in Calgary, where most of the new home starts are occurring, we're seeing most of them occur in Northwest Calgary. And there's a few reasons for that. Calgary definitely expands outwards. So when we go very much so to the northernmost part of the city, we're seeing tons and tons of new home construction, especially in terms of condos and townhomes. Also in the deep south, we also see a lot of housing starts. The thing with the Northwest essentially address is that it's very appealing. So a lot of people in Calgary and from outside of Calgary aspire to live in the Northwest. So it's a very appealing quadrant of the city to live in. So it's not surprising that we're seeing a significant amount of new housing starts in that area. And also keep in mind that outside of Calgary, it's just field as far as the eye can see. So there's no real limitation in how far north Calgary can expand. So it does make sense that we're seeing a lot of new home construction in that area. And I'm also noticing just there's a road that's essentially called the Ring Road, and it makes a circle across the city of Calgary. And the southwest leg, which was the final leg of the Ring Road, was finally completed. So it just makes it so much easier to commute across Calgary. So it makes sense that along the western front of Alberta that we're going to see a lot more new home construction. And the appeal of being on the west side of Calgary is that you're in closer proximity to the mountains, and you're also far more likely to get those beautiful mountain views. So there's a lot of appeal to potential home buyers purchasing homes along the west side of Calgary. So it makes sense that we're going to see significantly more growth on the west side than we would on the east. And finally, just a quick recap of what we've seen in all the sectors. So the benchmark detached home price went up almost 11% year over year. Townhomes last year went up 14% year over year. And condo prices went up 15% year over year. So as we head into 2025, CREB anticipates that we're going to see more growth in the townhome, semi-detached, and detached sectors, and less growth in the condo sector, just because there's going to be such a flooding of new condos hitting the market, and because they've seen so much growth, their prices are going to start to stabilize this year. So that's the recap for 2025.